Hi and welcome back. Today we are starting a new course on Amazon Web Services. It's about cloud architecting, which would be covering the fundamentals of building IT infrastructure on Amazon Web Services. Now it would be an interesting course where I'll guide you through different labs and how to perform those different operations. Now, if you're registered on Amazon Web Services Academy, you'll see something similar to this one since I'm teaching the course. So for me, it's appearing as educator over here. So we'll go to the modules of the course. You'll see some basic information about the course. Module number 2 is introducing cloud architecting. Read it through, you'll get lots of information about it. But then we are starting securing access, which is identity and access management. It's an instructor-led activity where we'll be examining the IAM policy. So it would be a guided lab where we'll explore AWS identity and access management. So you'll start this one and then it would load or it would prepare the environment for it. Now once it's there, you can maximize it so that we can see it clearly that it is a guided lab for Amazon Web Services Identity and Access Management. So in this lab, what we are trying to do is that we'll explore the users and groups and we'll inspect the associated policies in the Amazon Web Services Identity and Access Management. So before you start, you need to prepare the environment so that they can deploy some of the basic settings. So in order to do that, you'll click on this Start Lab button. So give it some time and just wait till this icon over there turns green. So in the meantime, we'll go through the requirements of this lab. The duration is 40 minutes, but if you can see that the lab is ending and the timer is running out, you can restart the lab over here so that you'll have the timing again. Once you're done with the lab, you can press End Lab and it would reset the settings, but make sure that you'll renew it before it ends, otherwise it would reset the settings again. So Amazon Web Services restrictions, they are just telling that how can you access it. We'll go through it in a while. Then we have 3 tasks in this one. Task number 1 is explore the users and groups and inspect the policies. So we'll go through step by step. We'll see different accounts over here. And then there is a task 2 where we'll add users to the groups. And then there are certain operations that we'll be performing. And after that, we'll have task number 3 where we'll sign in and test the permissions that we'll assign, since identity and access management is all about the access and permissions of users to the groups. Now as you can see that the icon turned green, so we'll click on this one and it would open another window where we'll be able to log in to our console and you'll see some basic interface of this Amazon Web Services. Now first of all, you'll see your account details, and here you'll be able to see the region where you want to have your virtual instances, etc. And then if you want to learn about different services, you'll click on this one. You'll find them over here. Or if you want to search, you can type in, for example, EC2, etc. It would load the things. So we'll go through all those things step by step, but let's start and see what they are asking about in this specific lab. So first step was accessing the AWS Management Console. We did it just by clicking on the Start button. Now they're saying explore the users and groups and inspect the policies. First of all, they're saying that make sure that you are in North Virginia. So for that, you'll click on this one, and if you are in Ohio or California, just make sure that you have selected North Virginia over here. Then they are saying choose services menu and locate security, identity and compliance, and then select IAM. So for that, we'll click on services over here. We'll scroll down, we'll find security, identity and compliance. And in this one, we are selecting identity and access management. Click on that and it would open a dashboard for it. Now since it has prepared the basic setup of it, so on the dashboard you'll be able to see that there are 3 users, user groups, there are 3 users and 14 roles. Now if you'll click on dashboard, it would bring you back to the main dashboard. If you want to see the users, you'll click on this one and you can see 3 users, and if you want to see user groups, they are listed up here. So that's what it's talking about over here, that you'll see 3 users. We saw it, and now they are saying that choose user 1 and click on permissions tab. So as I told you before, if you'll click on users, we have 3 users over here, and if we'll click on user number 1, it would open the details of this user. Now you can see that there is a address for this user, ARN number, and then it has console access, which is enabled with the multi-factor authentication. And if you'll click, there are actually no policies at the moment. And then if you'll click on groups, it's not part of any groups. And if you'll click on tags, you can add certain tabs, like the Cloud Lab tag is already associated with this one. Security credentials are there. You can see that it has a console access over here, and it has a password which is automatically generated by them since it has prepared the lab for you, and it's even showing you that when you access it last time, and details related to that would be there. Now since this user 1 is not part of any group, we can't see any details up here. Now next step, it is asking about the user groups, and it's saying that check the user groups over there and then choose EC2 support. So for that, we'll click on user groups, and you can see that 3 user groups are there. They are defined, and you can see that there are no users under these user groups at the moment. That's why it's appearing 0 over here. So if we want to see, we'll click on any of the user groups over here, and you can see that there are no users under it. If you look at permissions, we have a policy name called EC2 admin, which is associated to it. And if you'll click on access advisor, you'll get some information about EC2 instance and the policy which is associated to it. So if you'll go to the permissions, and if you'll click on this plus sign, you'll be able to see a JSON script up here. And in these scripts, we are defining different policies. You'll find a condition over here. You'll always find the action of it and a resource. So these 3 things are really important. You'll have to understand it. Sometimes these policies are written here. Sometimes you'll have to rewrite the policies just to give permissions to different instances. So if you want to go back, you can click on users, or you can click on the user group. So if we want to see EC2 support, same thing is there, that we don't have any users under it, and the permissions for that is EC2 instance, which is the read-only access. And if you'll click on it, you'll find a similar JSON script here as well. And if we'll go to the S3 support, if you'll check the permissions for it, you'll see again Amazon S3, which has a read-only access as well, and likewise you have a JSON script. So let's try to understand what is the difference between an effect over here, then we have an action, and then we have a resource. So whenever we are talking about an effect, it says that whether to allow or to deny the permissions. For actions, it specifies the API calls that can be made against the Amazon Web Services, for example, CloudWatch or list metrics, etc. And if we are talking about the resources, it defines the scope of entities covered by the policy rule, for example, a specific Amazon Web Simple Storage, which is S3 bucket, or EC2 instance, etc. Or if we are putting a star over here, it means that it can access any resources under it. So it was talking about these things. So we have covered it. We have explored these different options. Now we'll have to see the business scenario where we'll have different accounts like user 1, user 2, and user 3. And we want user 1 to be a part of S3 support, user 2 to be a part of EC2 support, and then user 3 to be a part of EC2 admin. Next, they are giving some instructions over here that how can you add user 1 to S3 support, then user 2 to EC2 support, and then user 3 to EC2 admin support. Now I'll show you different ways how can you do that. So once we are back in our console, we'll have to click on dashboard. You can see the 3 users are there and 3 user groups are there. So if you click on users, again, there are no user groups appearing here. And for user groups, you can see that they are not part of any of, or there are no users part of these groups. So in order to add the users to specific groups, they said that the user number 1 should be a part of S3 group. So S3 support group. So we'll click on groups up here, and then we'll add user to groups. Now click on this one, and here you can see the options. So the user one should be S3 support group. We'll click on this one, and then we'll click add user to groups. Now you'll get a confirmation that user number one is part of S3 group. So if we'll click on users again, and if you'll see over here, it has changed to number one because it's part of one group. So it's identifying that user number one now belongs to one user group. Now click on this one, you'll be able to see that Amazon S3, which is support available for read-only access, it's part of that group. It has permissions for it, and the group is appearing up here. Now that's one way to look at it. The other way to check it, if you'll click on user groups, it's showing that S3 group has one user as shown up here. And if you'll click on this one, you can see user one appearing here because user one is part of this group. So initially we used the users menu over here to add a user to a group. Now I'll show you that if you'll go to user groups and you want to add, for example, user 2 to EC2 support, how can we do that? So we'll click on EC2 support up here, and we don't have any users added to EC2 support. So we'll click add users, and we'll click add user over here and click it. So now you can see that one user is added to EC2 support. So if you click on user groups, you can see that this number changed as well as EC2 support. It means that it has one user under it. And if you are going to users and you are clicking on user 2, it's showing that it's part of one group. And if you'll open it, it's saying that it's part of Amazon EC2 read-only access. So likewise, we'll go to users and we'll go to user 3 and we'll assign him to a group and we'll add it to a user group. And for him, we are going to select EC2 admin. We'll click on this one and add user to the group. So now he's also part of another group. So if you'll go to user groups, you can see that all of them has one user under it. Each user group would have one user. And if you click on users, you can see that all users are part of an individual group. And now we'll be checking different permissions on it. Next step is they are saying that in the navigation, click on the dashboard and copy the URL of the console, and then try to open it in an incognito mode, and then try to log in with user 1 and lab 1 password. So in order to do that, we'll go to the console again, and as per the requirements, we'll click on the dashboard, and you can copy this URL from here, and then we'll have to open it in incognito mode. So I'm in incognito mode. If you're not aware what is an incognito mode, it's a private window. You can use it in the same browser, or if you're using multiple browsers, you can open another browser and paste in the URL that we copied and paste it over here. It would open this page. Now we'll have to log in with the username and password that they provided earlier. So we'll enter the username as user1, and the password which was available on our lab manual was password which was shown up here, and we'll click sign in up here. Now once you're signed in, it would show you the initial access of it, since we are logged in as user 1, which is S3 support, and it has read-only access to S3 only. So we'll have to find it that does it really have read-only access or not. So if we'll refer back to the manual, it's saying sign in with the username and password. We did that. Now it's asking that go to services and go to S3 menu and then try to check the things over there. So we'll have to go to services and S3 menu. So in order to do that, we'll type in S3 over here and we'll see an option S3. We'll click on it. And now we'll click on the bucket which is over there. So since we are logged in as user number 1, it has read-only access to S3. So that's why you are able to see this read-only information over here, which is appearing for user number 1. But if we'll try to go to, for example, EC2 instance, and I'll click on EC2 instance of it, and try to check, you can see that there are lots of error messages since it does not have access to that. It's a user one which had only access to S3 support, and if I'll click on the instances, it's not showing me any details about the instance since user number one does not have any access to the instances. So once that's done, let's try to log out now, and we'll try to log into the second user account and see if the user 2, which is part of EC2 support, how much access it has on the system and how can we manage that. So we'll first of all try to log into EC2 account, and that information is available in your lab manual as well. You'll enter the details for user 2 and click sign in. So let's read what are the requirements for test user 2. They are saying log into user 2, then go to services, go to EC2 instances, and then make sure that you are in North Virginia if you're not able to see it. And then we'll try to stop the instance. Now keep in mind that user 2 has only read-only access to the instance, so it should not be able to make any changes to the instances, and we'll check it. And then we'll try to see S3 services or the bucket if it has any access to that or not. So as we are back in console and we are logged in as a user 2, just make sure that you are in North Virginia, and then you'll click on EC2 instance, and let's see if it has read-only access to that or not. So if we'll click on instances, so you can see that this instance information is appearing here, which wasn't there for user number 1. Now let's try to stop this instance and see, since it has read-only access, it should not allow us to stop the instance. So if we'll click on this one and we'll go to instance and stop instance and try to stop it, it should give you an error message since this account does not have permissions for that. Now let's go to the dashboard, and we'll try to find the information about the S3 bucket now. So we'll click on this icon and click on S3. Since S3 bucket was associated with user number 1, so for that we'll click here and go to console home, and now just make sure that you are in North Virginia and you're logged in as user 2. So we'll click on S3 bucket. So it's not giving any access to S3 bucket for our user 2. Next step is that log into user number 3. Just make sure that user number 3 was part of EC2 admin. It should be able to stop the EC2 instances, etc. And then we'll check it and we'll try to stop the instance of it and see that if it really has access to that or not. So we'll enter the details of user 3 and sign in. So here, if we want to make sure that we are logged in as user 3 and we are in North Virginia, click on EC2 instance and click on instances on the left hand side. You can see an instance which is running. So if you want to stop the instance, click it and then go to instance state and try to stop it. Now click stop, and you can see you have successfully initiated stopping of this instance. It means that since this user had EC2 admin access to this one, this user has the permission to stop the instances. And if you'll come back and check after a while, you can see that instance has been stopped. And if I'll try to access S3 up here, it should not give me an access to that because this user does not have access to the S3 bucket. So that was our lab on identity and access management. Once that's done, you can simply click on submit and end the lab. So that would save your grades. That's it for today. Thank you very much.